The sun had just set, and the forest path was bathed in silver light from the rising moon. Chaik, a young man of about 20, walked slowly, his hoe resting on his shoulder after a long day at the farm. The crickets sang in the grass, and fireflies danced like little sparks. In the night he was almost at the edge of the forest when he heard a faint sound. At first he thought it was the wind brushing against the tall trees, but then he paused, listening carefully. No, it wasn't the wind, it was the sound of someone crying. The hair on his arms rose. Nobody lived deep inside this forest. The elders always warned the villagers not to wander when the sun went down, yet the cry came again, soft, weak, almost like the voice of a young woman. Help, please help me. Chaik's heart pounded. He stood still, torn between running home and finding out who was in trouble. His mother's voice echoed in his memory. Chaik, kindness is the true wealth of a man. Never ignore the cry of another. Swallowing his fear, he turned off the path and moved carefully between the trees. The deeper he went, the louder the cry became. Finally, under a tall iroko tree, he saw her, a girl, young, beautiful, and dressed in a wrapper of faded cloth. Her eyes were wide and shining in the moonlight, her skin glowing as if lit from within. She sat on the ground, trembling as though she had been lost for days. Please, she whispered, lifting her weak arms. I cannot walk, help me. Chaik's breath caught in his chest. He had never seen such beauty before, yet something about her made the night feel colder still. Pity filled his heart. He stepped forward and bent down. Don't worry, he said softly. I will carry you. And with that, he lifted the strange girl in his arms, turning back toward the path to his village. Unaware of the danger that walked with him, Chaik carried the girl in his strong arms. She was surprisingly light, as if her bones carried no weight at all. Her skin was smooth but strangely cold, and now and then he felt a faint shiver run through her body. The forest path stretched long and lonely, but Chaik walked fast. At last, the lights of the village came into view, the glow of oil lamps flickering in mud huts. He sighed with relief when he reached his compound. His mother was outside, fanning the evening fire. She looked up in surprise. Chaik, she exclaimed, who is this? A girl, Mama, he answered, gently laying her on a mat near the fire. I found her in the forest. She was too weak to walk. The girl's eyes fluttered open. She looked around the compound, then back at Chaik. A faint smile touched her lips. Thank you, you are kind, she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost musical. Chaik's mother hurried to bring her water and food, boiled yam with palm oil. But the girl only took a few bites before turning her face away. As though the food did not please her, instead, she asked for water. One Chaik gave her a calabash filled with fresh stream water. She drank it eagerly, finishing it in long gulps. That night, Chaik offered her a place to sleep inside his small hut. She lay quietly on the mat, her wrapper pulled around her. Her face turned away from the fire, but as the flames flickered, Chaik noticed something strange. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark, like a cat's, and though she pretended to sleep, he could hear a soft sound escaping her lips, a sound that was not quite human. It was a hiss. The night was quiet, but Chaik could not sleep. He lay on his raffia mat, staring at the roof of his hut, listening to the girl's breathing. At first, it sounded normal, soft, steady. But then, in the stillness, he heard it again. Shush, shush. His heart skipped. He turned his head slightly. The girl was lying still, her back toward him, the wrapper covering her from shoulder to foot. Yet the sound seemed to come from her, slipping out between her lips. Chaik sat up, sweat breaking across his forehead. Though the night air was cool, he told himself it was nothing. Perhaps she was only snoring in a strange way. He forced himself to lie back down, but unease gnawed at him. Before dawn, a sharp chill swept through the hut. Chaik pulled his cloth tighter around him, shivering. The fire had burned low, yet the cold was deeper than any normal night. He glanced at the girl. She had curled tightly on the mat, her body coiled in a way that looked unnatural. Her feet were hidden under her wrapper. He realized something then, since he found her. She had not once stretched out her legs in the open. The morning came at last. The rooster crowed, and the first rays of sunlight pierced through the cracks in the wall. The girl rose slowly, her eyes flashing in the light before she quickly lowered them. Chike offered her food, again hot yam porridge his mother had prepared. But she shook her head. No food, she said softly, just water. She drank deeply, her throat moving in long, heavy gulps. Then she licked her lips in a way that made Chike's stomach tighten. Something was not right by evening. The villagers had begun to whisper, "Who is this strange girl Chike brought? Where did she come from? Why does she never eat, only drink water?" Chike tried to ignore the talk, but inside his heart, fear was growing. He remembered the elders' warnings, beware of what you carry from the forest. Not all that looks human is truly human. That night, as darkness fell again, Chike felt the truth pressing on him. He was not living with a girl. He was living with something else. By the third day, the whispers in the village grew louder. Everywhere Chike went, people looked at him strangely. Old women shook their heads, muttering that girl is not ordinary. Children peeped at his hut, then ran away giggling nervously. Even the elders gathered under the udala tree, their eyes following Chike as he passed. At last, his friend Obina confronted him. "Chike," he said in a low, serious voice, "why do you keep that strange girl in your hut? She does not eat. She does not talk. Her eyes shine at night. This is not a woman. You found it is a spirit." Chike's chest tightened. He wanted to argue, to say Obina was wrong. But in his heart, the truth had already taken root. That night, when darkness wrapped the village, Chike did not sleep. He sat on his mat pretending to rest, but his eyes stayed open. The girl lay a few steps away, silent, wrapped tightly in her cloth. Midnight came. The air in the hut grew heavy and cold. The fire dimmed until only red embers glowed. Then Chike saw it. The girl began to move, not as a human turns in sleep, but as something twisting out of its skin. Her wrapper slipped away, and her body stretched unnaturally long. Her smooth legs melted together, fusing into one thick coil. Shimmering scales rippled across her skin. Glowing faintly in the darkness, her face shifted, beautiful features stretching, mouth widening, eyes glowing yellow. Her tongue flickered out, long and forked, tasting the air before Chike's horrified eyes. The girl he had carried from the forest was gone. In her place was a giant serpent, its body coiled on the mat, its head raised. Swaying slowly, the hiss filled the hut, louder than before. Success. Chike froze, his breath caught in his throat. His heart thundered so loudly, he feared the creature could hear it. The snake's eyes fixed on him, glowing like fire in the dark. Then, in a voice that was both human and inhuman, it spoke, "You carried me from the forest with kindness, young man. For that, I do not strike you tonight. But know this beauty can be a mask, and mercy can be dangerous." The serpent's body uncoiled, sliding toward the doorway. Its massive form shimmered, and as it crossed into the night, it became a girl again, beautiful, smiling faintly. Her wrapper back around her body, she vanished into the darkness, leaving Chike trembling, his body drenched in sweat, his mind unable to believe what he had seen that night. He understood. The whispers had been right. He had carried not a girl, but a snake in disguise. That night, Chike sat inside his hut. His heart was heavy. He was crying because the girl he carried from the forest had left. Truly, he had already fallen in love with. The next day she came, the door opened. The girl entered again, more beautiful than ever. Moonlight touched her face, and her skin shined. Chike stood up quickly. "You came back," he said, his voice shaking. The girl smiled slowly. "Chike, tell me, do you love me?" "Yes," Chike answered. "I love you more than my own life." The smile on her face changed. It was no longer soft. It became sharp and dangerous. Her eyes turned yellow, like fire. "Then give me your life," she said. Before Chike could move, her body began to change. Her arms stretched, her legs joined together, and her wrapper fell to the ground. Scales covered her skin. Her face stretched wide, her mouth opening until her jaw was too large for a human. Chike's eyes opened wide. He stepped back, shaking. The girl was gone. In her place stood a giant snake. The serpent hissed loudly. Chike tried to run, but the snake's body rushed around him, wrapping him like rope. She squeezed him hard. Crack! His bones broke one by one. Chike shouted in pain, fighting, but the snake was too strong. Mercy makes you weak, the serpent hissed in a voice that was half woman, half beast. Chike gasped, "No, please." But the snake only squeezed tighter at last. She opened her huge mouth. Her fangs shined. With one strike, she swallowed Chike whole. His scream disappeared into the night that morning. When the villagers came, the hut was empty. Only his broken hoe lay on the ground. The elders shook their heads sadly. "We warned him," they said. "Not every cry is from a human. Not every beauty is safe." Chike carried death in his arms, and death swallowed him. From that day, the people learned a lesson: help strangers, but with wisdom. Some strangers come only to destroy. Lesson from the story. What we learn from Chike's story is very simple. Not every cry for help is human. Not every beauty is safe. We must use wisdom before helping strangers, because some people we welcome may bring us danger. Kindness is good, but kindness without sense can destroy a person. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one.